Hi, and welcome to the video summary of Success Session 1 for our 2016 cohort. It was held on Friday, September 9th. I'm Pete Spencer, Director of the Blue Water Middle College. So if you couldn't make that session, then you do need to view this. There's a lot of information in it and some new skills and strategies we want to go over with you guys to help you succeed this semester and beyond. I always start the success sessions just like I did the orientation sessions by looking at the agenda, what's going to be covered during the session. And we always start our success sessions with some news and announcements, important dates, things coming up that we don't want you to miss. So that'll be the same with this presentation. We're also going to look at the difference between high school and college. Now that you guys have been in college classes for 4 weeks, as I record this now, it was 3 weeks on the 9th. And you've also been back in high school, your high school classes for a week or two. And of course, you've been in high school for a couple of years before that as well. But it's important that you understand the differences and are aware of the differences so then you can adapt to the two different environments that you're taking classes in. Because if you treat college the same way you've treated high school or vice versa, you may not succeed in one or the other. It's important to know where you stand in a class. That's part of being aware as well, not just the general differences between high school and college, but specifically being aware of how you're doing in a particular class. And while I hope everyone is feeling good about where they are right now, that may not be the case, and sometimes you think you're doing better than you really are, or a lot of times you think you're doing worse than you really are. So it's important that you understand how to gauge where you are grade-wise in a class and when you need help. And we want to review where to get help. We talked about this during orientation, but you hadn't even started classes yet, so it's a little hard to focus on all these different ways of getting academic support when you really don't need it at that point. But some of you now might need it for some of your classes, so we're going to go over that, and of course that has to do with improving on how you're doing in the class and getting advice and counsel and strategies for help. And we'll just have one slide with some comments from graduates looking back at what they wish they had done when they were in the middle college, so maybe that'll give you some motivation. So with that being the agenda for this session, just so you know, these videos usually end up to be about an hour in length. There will be opportunities to pause it, and of course if you're viewing this at home or at school or somewhere, you can pause it at any point, but we do want you to go through the entire presentation. And there will be some assignments that accompany the email and as well as the site. And I'll explain where this will get posted. That will come in an email from Ms. Weimer, but we'll make sure that you get information on where to find the video. Obviously, you found it because you're viewing it now. Okay, so here we go. We might spend a little time too, I'm sorry, on iPads and apps. Just a couple of quick slides. We didn't spend a lot of time on that at this session. All right, some important dates coming up for the fall. This is actually, as I record this now, we're at the end of week 4 with actually 12 weeks to go, and one of those weeks is finals week. So we're down to about 10, 11 weeks of actual class time to go. So that's actually good news, but there's a lot of hard work that needs to go into succeeding in your classes between now and the end of the semester. Early alert grades will be posted on or by Monday, October 3rd. So that's about a couple of weeks from the date I'm recording this. By the time you view it, it might be even closer. But you really should know where you stand before seeing that grade posted by your instructor. You will, and I'll send an email about this, but to access those early alert grades, you log into your Wave and go into the section called Academic Profile, and then there'll be a choice under the Academic Profile section called View My Grades, and that's where you'll see what the instructor believes at that time, 6 weeks in, the grade that you're earning. Winter registration opens up October 31st, so we have 2 more face-to-face success sessions to come after this one that was held on September 9th. We have a lot to talk about before you register for winter classes, and but just so you know, that's coming up on early the morning of Halloween, October 31st. So a lot more on that coming up. There is a deadline to withdraw from classes, and that is November 12th. I'm going to talk a little bit about withdrawing, but it's not really something you should be considering And the 11th grade students generally do not withdraw from a class, and so a little bit more coming up in the next few slides. And final exam week is December 12th through Friday, December 16th. The 16th marks the very end of the semester, so you'll have a good long break over Christmas and the New Year. We come back again at college. It's about January, I think, 10th or 11th. I'll have to double check on that. So I mentioned withdrawing, and the deadline to withdraw is all the way into November. Withdrawing from a class is very costly in a number of ways, and I want to make sure you're aware of this. Your thoughts should not be at any point, in particular this early in the semester, of withdrawing from a class. It will likely lead to a delay in earning your degree. Now, most students come in with the idea of the middle college. I'm going to stay through grade 13, and along with my high school diploma, I will get an associate degree from SC4, which is awesome and very achievable. But if you withdraw from just one class, it can make it very likely that you're not going to earn that degree on time. So that's just one of the reasons to stay in your courses and keep working hard and get help. The other thing is it will very likely result in you having to pay for an additional college class in the future. It just makes sense. If you withdraw from one now that's being paid for in the future to complete your degree or to make up for one that would have transferred to a university, you're going to have to take that and pay for it yourself. And the least amount a class is going to cost you, including books, is probably $500, and that would be an SC4 class. They could easily approach $2,000 in cost at a university. So there's a lot of money you could lose just by withdrawing from one class. It will result on a W on your college transcript where your grade would be. It will show the class that you withdraw from with a big W. Just one of those on your transcript might not be the end of the world as future schools and job employers look at that. But if you withdraw from a second class or a third class, which often happens when students withdraw from one class, they often end up withdrawing from more. So we don't want to get you started down that path. And then that really tells a future college or employer that you're a person that does not stick through things and work hard and get help when things get tough. So we want to make sure you don't get any W's on your transcript. It can also impact your ability to get financial aid in the future. If you're withdrawing from too many classes, then the government, which often provides a lot of the grants and scholarships from the colleges, they're not going to offer them to you because they don't see you as a good bet in completing classes. And I think this one really is the most important. Not only does it cost you time and money and so on, it also costs you a wonderful opportunity to learn how to face a difficult challenge and overcome it. I know that some of these courses either are or will be tough, and sometimes it's the first few weeks. The instructors start out tough and telling you that it's going to be real hard to pass the class. Well, remember, during orientation, I showed you some information. Most of the grades our students receive are A's and B's. You can pass these classes, and you just have to do things differently. It's not always just studying harder and longer, although that may be what's needed, but it might be approaching it differently, talking to your instructor, and just really continuing, showing up every day and continuing in class, getting better and better. And remember, excuse me, we talked about improving, so that's what you want to think about to overcome a difficult class, and you can do it. Once in a while, withdrawing is a wise choice. That may be if you were sick for a couple of weeks and could not attend class and just had no way really of catching up. But really, you should only consider withdrawing after you've tried everything else. And if you're starting to think about it, or you heard from someone that they're going to, make sure you or tell them to contact us. And we'll help them through. It's not like we're just going to make you stay in the class, but we'll help you get the help you need. A withdrawal permission form must be completed and approved before you're allowed to withdraw from a course, and that involves a series of steps. I'm not going to go into those in detail now, but it includes making sure that you've taken steps to get academic help. Certainly we want to talk to your parent or guardian to make sure they understand the costs of withdrawing, and just that you understand as well how it might impact your future. So that's a little bit on withdrawing. Hopefully something you don't think about or don't need to, but we're there to help if so. Okay, just wanted to point out, I know you were at the Middle College office to pick up your books after orientation, but there was a lot of students in there and kind of you just wanted to get your books and get out of there. But I don't want you to forget that this is a spot where you can come in to study. The whole front part of the Middle College office has comfortable chairs. It is quiet in there. You can relax. You can work on homework. Off to the left in this area up here, there are now 3 computers. This picture's a little bit old. We've got a big screen here for projecting websites. If you want, or you want to work with a group of students to come in and work on a project, you can do that. We also have in the back a conference room that you and a group of your students could use to study in. So don't forget the Middle College as a resource and a place to work. We have computers, as I mentioned. You can print papers from that. So if you don't print it at home and you complete a paper on campus, come on by and we can print it for you. Just make sure you give us a few minutes, so you can't come in with 2 minutes left and expect it to get printed right away, but we can do it within 5 minutes. We should be able to. There's comfortable chairs, as I mentioned, and then we are there usually. So you see on the video these little red circles. It shows where all of us are located. I'm back in there somewhere. Anyway, and we're often available for drop-in, but not always. If you know you want to sit down with one of us and talk about future plans, it's best to email one of us and maybe send along a day and time that you can come in and just ask Mr. Spencer or Ms. Spar, is it okay if I come in next Monday at 1:30? And then we'll just tell you yes, or we'll find another time. So we're in there. The parent orientation, when you view this may be past, but we're having one this evening, which is Monday the 19th, and we're also having a repeat of that presentation on Wednesday morning. If those dates have passed, if your mom or dad or guardian did not get a chance to attend, they can view a video similar to this with all the information on it. I email that information all to the parents and guardians for whom I have an email address. We've tried to gather those through the enrollment process. If your mom or dad did not get the email, I'll leave it up to you. Please send me their email address. I'll add it to our email distribution list, and I try to keep parents and guardians updated on what's going on. So a little bit about Microsoft products, Office 365, which includes Windows, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, pretty much all the Microsoft products. We mentioned this at orientation. It's available for free for you, and your family members can use it. I think up to 5 devices can download the software. If you haven't done that yet, instructions are in the portal. Click on the Student Support button and then Technology, and you'll find a link. And you can contact the Student Help Desk at SC4 if you have other troubles with that. You can download it onto an iPad, which is awesome. It helps you continue working on a paper, maybe when you're not home. It also includes 1 terabyte, which is a huge amount of data of storage, cloud storage. So you can start working on something at home, save it to your OneDrive account, and then bring it back down onto your iPad or a computer at SC4 from the cloud. All right, so wrapping up here soon with the news and information. The next Success Session will be October 7th. I sent this out in an email, and I made it clear during the Success Session on the 9th that we've moved the date from September 23rd. There was a few homecomings on that date. So the Success Session will be October 7th, okay? So please try to be there in person. We have a lot to cover in terms of preparing for winter registration, including developing a program of study to earn a degree, what's required for a college degree, and just several other considerations when picking classes. So make sure that you're there on October 7th. We'll also look at some of the study skills on note-taking and organizing notes and see how you've been doing with that now that we would be about coming up on halfway through the semester. KPAC, I believe, has their homecoming on October 7th, so I don't want you to miss that. If you don't mind missing it, by all means, come to SC4 on the 7th, but if you want to stay at school for the activities, you'll just have to view the video summary like this once again. I don't want you to do that every time because it's much better to be there in person and get the information that way. October 23rd, 2 weeks after the 7th, I want you to set that on your calendar. I want you to keep work clear from that. You must be there in person. This is an important one where we go over the steps of registering for a class. Mrs. Burse, the SC4 registrar, who's in charge of all the registration at the college, will be there talking to you guys. We want you to attend in person, so don't view that one as one where, I'll just view the video. It's hard to capture everything in a video that she's going to show you and talk to you about. Registration opens the next a week from that Monday on October 31st, so that'll be the last chance we have to talk to you guys about the registration process. Looks like one final thing, as some of you start to get jobs, others may have part-time jobs, be careful you don't sign up for too many shifts, too many hours. The value of passing classes with good grades far outweighs money you will earn in a job. So getting a C or better in a class makes it very likely that it will transfer onto a university. And that can save you literally $1,000 or $2,000 for every class you pass with a C or better. And that adds up quickly to tens of thousands of dollars, much more than you'd make in an extra shift at a job. So make sure your manager knows your priorities. If you're applying for a job, you let them know that my college schedule, will try to work around work, but that's going to come first. And frankly, if they don't allow you to put school first, you need to get a new job because it's not wise. And it always makes me cringe when a student says I have to miss this or that because of work. So be careful about that. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause here, get a sip of water. Be right back. Okay, I'm back now, and again, feel free to pause this. You might have done that at that time. The next section actually is kind of under news and announcements or news and information, but it's really kind of a standalone section. It's on placement into English and math classes at the college. Now, most of you, a few of our students actually are taking English this semester, but most are not. So we want to talk about that because you are going to want to think, do I take a math or an English class in the winter coming up or wait till next year, and how do I know which one I get into, and so on. If your Compass writing or math score places you into a course such as English 050, I'll call it English 50, or English 75, or Math 75, you really should consider retaking the Compass test in that area or those areas this fall. The Compass is changing to another test called AccuPlacer later this fall in November. And a lot of colleges are changing from what was the Compass test to one called AccuPlacer, which is tied a little more closely to the SAT test. AccuPlacer will likely be similar, but not exactly the same as Compass. So you've taken the Compass once, maybe even twice, so you're probably more familiar with that, and the odds are if you take Compass again, whether it's your second time or your third, your score will probably go up. AccuPlacer, you might do fine in that, but it's going to be new to you and a little bit different. So we're recommending that you give the Compass a shot. You can use SAT English and math scores for placement at SC4, but you won't take the SAT until next May, and you won't know those scores until early next summer. Okay? Now, fall registration for next fall opens in April. So if you're counting on using your SAT scores to place you, you won't be able to choose classes in terms of math or English probably until June. And so that's just, you have to wait a month or two longer than you might normally because your Compass may place you just right into the courses you want to go into. So you check your Compass score report. Now, we actually passed out those reports to students when they came to the face-to-face session. To get your Compass scores, you can actually email Mrs. Barr, and she will send you your numbers. I don't know if she'll actually scan and send you the whole report. That's a little time consuming, but she'll send you your scores and what you place into. The other place to find your Compass scores is in your WAVE under the section called Academic Profile. And then in there, you'll see a choice called Test Summary. And when you click on the Test Summary, you'll see your Compass scores for writing and math. And the reading is already passed now, so you don't need to worry about that. But you're looking hopefully to place into English 101, which is 3 credits that count towards your degree. That's the initial English course placement, and ideally at least Math 102. So if it says you're required to take English 50, English 75, or Math 75 on your score report, you should retake the Compass test in that area. To do so, just call the testing center at 810-989-5555, just like you did when you were first taking the placement test last spring. Or you can go right into the testing center on the second floor of the SC4 Welcome Center and schedule a retake. And it doesn't cost you anything, and you can say, I just want to take the math, or I only want to take the English, or maybe you want to take both. If you try it a second time, or even before that if you want, but definitely if you try it a second time and you want to give it a third time to place into a higher class, you really should contact Mrs. Bonnie Romsek in the Achievement Center, and she'll give you specialized one-on-one help and some resources to help you succeed in placing into a higher math or English class. You met Ms. Romsek during orientation. She talked to you just briefly, and she's helped a lot of students already place into higher classes. So her number is 989-5567. She's in the Achievement Center. Okay, the next thing we did at the face-to-face session had to do with looking at the differences between high school and college. And we had students actually talk together in a small group just to share their ideas, and then post their observations, if you will, to a Google form. And you're going to have to do the same. Obviously, you won't be able to talk to anyone about it, but we're going to have you go to the form and put your thoughts down for 3 questions. And I'm going to show those 3 questions in just a bit. But this is under the Action for Success that we call Be Aware. Over the next couple of years, you'll have your feet in 2 academic worlds, hence the picture up there with the 2 feet. One's going to be in high school, and the other foot, if you will, is going to be taking college classes. The 3rd year will be all college, so you will have made that transition fully into college. But being aware of the differences between the 2 is critical to your success, especially as you make that transition completely to college. A lot of the changes, the way you treat a college course can usually help you if you treat high school courses in a similar way, but it doesn't always work in reverse. In other words, if you treat your college courses like your high school courses, that can lead to problems in the college courses, and I think you're already seeing that. But we wanted students to stop and reflect, even though they've just gotten into this. So again, we had students work in groups on this and discuss the following questions, and then they posted their ideas to a Google form. One of the assignments for this makeup session is to make sure that you go to this form and put your name and your ideas in. So here's the address. Now here are the questions. Okay. The first question you're going to be asked to enter a little information in is, what are some of the early differences you are observing between high school and college classes? What's the difference between the 2? And the second question, how are the expectations of your college instructors different from those of your high school instructors? So are you finding a difference in their expectations? And then finally, what types of things are you being assigned in college, and how is it different than high school, and how are you tackling those assignments? Are there any differences? So number 2 and 3 specifically are looking at the college course expectations from the instructors and the types of assignments. And I know you're just getting into it, but I'm guessing already you're seeing some differences. So I want to show you, I'm going to exit out of the presentation just for a bit and take you to the form here. What I want to do, because we didn't take the students' names down, they did list their names, I forgot about that. So just put your name in this box right here, first and last name. Ms. Weimer's going to check this and make sure that you've completed this. So just put your name. I would put Pete Spencer here, and then I would go on down to the boxes and enter my my responses. Okay, so that's the Google form, just 3 boxes, and then click Submit. Okay, all right. So back to the presentation now. The other thing I wanted to show you was just a few of the observations, and we did this at the session. Google Forms allow you to look at the results immediately. So we went and looked at what some of the students said were changes, were differences in assignments and so on. So we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to go back to my browser and go here and show the summary. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bigger so hopefully you'll be able to see this. So again, these are some of the responses that students shared, and we're just, keep in mind, only when they did this, they were only 3 weeks into college. So right now, if you look at this orange section, the question was, I've met with an instructor, whoops, I'm sorry, this is a different one. This is the Academic Support Survey. One moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. I was looking at a summary of responses from a form we use for our 12th grade session. So here are the 3 questions, and I'm only going to highlight a few of them, but I want you to share your own. So one group said, in high school, it is more structured. The teachers give you a set of directions to follow. At the college, the professors just give you a general idea and you approach it how you want. Another group mentioned the maturity levels. Another talked about more choices. Professors tell you about all the projects in advance. In college, you have to work a lot harder than in high school. The subjects are also harder. Everyone is there to learn and nobody fools around. And it's not always that they're harder. I think you'll find that. I think just, again, sometimes it's just a little different how you have to approach it. Conversation levels. I assume that means the conversation levels are lower in the college. A number of students not having to go to class every day. Yes. In college, you have more independence and responsibility than in high school. There are way more rules in high school. There's more flexibility in college. And that's all good, but you just have to make sure that with that flexibility and that independence, that you are responsible for getting things done, paying attention and engaging and so on. This group said a lot more assignments at a time in college. College is more engaging and so on. All right, I'm going to go down to the second one. How are expectations of your college instructors different? And again, just reading a few, they expect you to keep up with the work by yourself. They expect more out of you in college. The college instructors engage in more detailed discussions, and high school teachers do not. I think that is one thing you'll see, the level of discussion and their expectations for your ability to participate actively in a discussion are greater. It's not that the high school teachers don't want you to actively engage in discussions, but I just think that's something that in college, it's a given. You're going to prepare ahead of time and be ready to participate. College instructors expect you to calculate your own grades, behave as an adult, participate in discussions, and be responsible for your work, and will not accept late work. Here's another group. They don't accept late work and expect what is expected. They want you to act like adults, and so on. That's the expectations. And then finally, some of the observations. What types of things are you being assigned? How are you tackling them? One group said reading and note-taking. I think you're finding, here's another one, notes and reading, speech and paper writing. This group, they're talking about approaching it a little bit every day. That's very important. Another group, read and take notes on chapters. Take time out of fun and do homework. So this group saying, we got to cut into our fun a little bit and work on homework. This group said they're being assigned papers and online journals. We're tackling them by getting help from the centers at SC4 and help from each other. And just one more, I'm mostly being assigned journal entries and tests. I tackle these by making time in my schedule to study and do my journal entries. I make them my first priorities, which is a great idea. So that's just some of the responses. It is definitely different in college, and you've got to be aware of that. So just a few of the takeaways from that activity. College is different than high school. How you do matters. This record you're starting to build this semester stays with you on into your next college and then even your full-time employment when you're all done with schooling. So do things differently when needed to succeed. It's not like everything has to be different, but there are differences. You've got to adapt. Okay? So the next big section of this session is also about being aware, but not just the difference in general between high school and college, but specifically being aware of how you are doing in class right now. An honest and accurate understanding of how you are doing in class and a willingness to act on that understanding will lead to success in every class. I firmly believe that and know it's the case. But those two pieces, it's got to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself, And your understanding of how you're doing has to be accurate. You've got to really know, am I struggling? Do I need to get help now? You can't kind of try to fool yourself and say, well, I think I got one paper back and it's an A. That paper may only be worth a few percent of your grade, so a little percent of your grade. There's no reason to have to withdraw from a class, fail a class, or even earn a grade lower than C if you're aware of how you're doing and take action if and when it's needed. And that's the key, is taking action. And we're still early into the semester, plenty of time to do that. So we also did another activity during the session on helping students learn to calculate their grades. We distributed a handout to students. Every student got one. There were 2 different grading scenarios on the sheet. Both are similar to actual classes that you may be in, as you'll see. The scenarios are on the following slides, and we want you to find out what the current grade would be for the students in each of the 2 classes listed. So this is one where we want you to pause the video after the slide that says that shows the scenario, and see if you can determine what the student's grade would be for each scenario. Now, spoiler alert, if you just go on in the video, you'll find that the answers are there. So we definitely want you to see how this is done if you don't understand it, but try it first yourself. Do a little math and see how close you would be to calculating their grades. It'll definitely help if you try it before you get the answers. Okay, so here are the 2 scenarios. The first one is an instructor that grades using percentages, what's called weighted percentages. And you'll see what we mean as I go through this. Rachel's Earth Science instructor has a grading scale based on weighted percentages. Attendance is worth 20% of the final grade. Lab assignments are worth 30%, and exams are worth 50%. So no matter, how many class days there are, the total attendance grade will only affect 20% of the grade. Now that's significant, but it's not as much as exams that are worth half of your final grade. Okay? As of today, Rachel has been present 4 out of the 5 class meetings. And she received a 100% score on the 1 lab assignment they did. So they've only done 1, but she got 100% on it. She did not do too well on the first exam, earning a 50% score. You may find that's the case. Your first exam may go a little rougher, but they usually get better. So Rachel, been there 4 out of 5 times. She received 100% on 1 lab assignment, and she did not do too well on the first exam, earning a 50% score. So what is her current grade as a percentage? Okay, so you can pause that and try to calculate that right now, or go on to scenario number 2, and that's using the point system. Sam's history instructor bases his grades on a point system. Each assignment, test, etc. is worth a certain number of points. The total for the whole semester is 600 points. So here are the points as they're made up throughout the semester. The journal entries, there's going to be 15 entries at 10 points each. Attendance, there's 30 classes. You get 5 points for each time that you're there. There are 5 essays worth 50 points each. And then the final exam is also worth 50 points. The next slide shows Sam's graded assignments to this point in the semester. So here's the overall point scale, and here is where Sam is as of today, if you will. Sam's class has had 3 journal entries, 6 class meetings, and 1 essay. Sam was present for 5 of the 6 meetings. He missed the first journal entry, but then earned full points on the next 2. He then received 38 out of 50 points on the 1 essay they've done so far. How many total points has he earned, and what is his current grade as a percentage? Oops, let me go back. All right, so if you want, pause and try the 2 scenarios. You can back up the video if you need to, get back to the other slides, and then we'll show you the solutions in just a second. Okay, so let's see how you did. First of all, the scenario 1 on the weighted percentages. If you remember, the percents for each, attendance was 20% of the grade, lab assignments made up 30%, and exams were 50%. So the way to calculate where you are at any point in the semester is take the percentage for each group, if you will, like attendance. and then you multiply that percentage by the total percent, the weight, if you will, for the entire class. So let's look at the example. The student was present 4 out of 5 classes. That's 80%. Okay, 4 divided by 5 equals 0.8 or 80%. Now attendance made up 20% of the entire grade. So what you do is you'll take the 20%, which is how much of the grade it is, and then times how she's doing, which is 80%, and then you come up with 16%. Now we're going to end up adding the percentages together for each of the 3 sections, and that will give her current percentage. Just a quick reminder, if you're not sure about multiplying percents and you can't find out how to do that in your calculator, 20% is the same as 0.20. Okay, so basically if you entered in your calculator 0.20 times 0.80, that should give you 0.16, possibly 00, but you can shorten that to 0.16, which is 16%. Okay, so you do the same thing with the lab assignments. Lab assignments make up 30%. The student has only done 1, but she got 100% on it, so that's good. So 30% times 100% is equal to 30%. Okay, that's going to get added to the others. Now, here's where the exams impact things. The exams make up 50% of the grade. The student's one exam she earned 50% of the points, if you will, or 50%. So 50% times 50% is equal to 25%. Okay, so that's a little bit lower number to add in. When you add all of those up, you get 71%. So she's not doing too badly yet, even with that one exam that she scored poorly on. So she wants to keep showing up, she wants to keep doing well in her labs, and then also try to pick up her exam grade, and she'll be into the 80% range before she knows it. Okay? Let's look at the second scenario, the point system. In this case, here's the scoring system, okay? And the current grade after 3 weeks for this student, the student missed 1 journal entry and then got 10s on the next 2. So they have 20 points now for the journal entries. They've come to 5 classes. 5 times 25, or 5 times 5 is 25, so there's 25 points there. They've completed only 1 essay, but that's all that they've been given. They got 38 points out of 50. So what we're doing is adding up the points that the student has earned so far, and that is 83 points. Okay, so then the idea is, well, how many were possible at this point? It's not 83 out of 600, but how many possible, so we can get an idea of how he or she is doing. So in this case, if you add up all the possibles for 1 essay, 50 points, 6 classes at that point, that would be 30 points. And this potentially could have been 30 points for the journal entries. So you add that all up, that's 110. The current grade is calculated by dividing the number of points possible, dividing the number of points the students earned, 83, by the number of points possible, which is 110. 83 divided by 110 gives you 75%. So that's a sample. You should do it for your own classes now. One thing to keep in mind that's very important is to keep all your graded assignments when they're returned to you. If the score is reported digitally, do a screen capture or something. It's important that you keep evidence of how you did in all your assignments, because you may need to go back at that to look at that, not just for calculating your grades, but if you want to make a claim that your grade was calculated incorrectly, you need that evidence. Okay, last section of this session is what do you do if you need help? Okay, so you find out your grade's in the 70s and you want to get an A, you want your grade to be in the 90% range. What's available and where do you go and when? First of all, see your instructor. Don't be afraid to meet with your instructor. Even if you're finding out, I don't really like this instructor, he's mean, she's mean. No, generally most of the instructors, as you know, are not. But you've got to go see them. Schedule an appointment. Go during their office hours. If you can't make their office hours, then contact them. Say, is there a time that we could meet either before or after class? And if nothing else, email them with questions. So they're there to teach you. They want to help you succeed. You've got to trust that and show them that you care about your grades. You can always come to one of us first, too. If you don't feel comfortable going to the instructor right away, come and talk to one of us. Just let us know that you're struggling in a class, you need help, you're not sure why you got a low grade on a paper or exam, and we will give you advice. We'll either help you directly or we'll direct you to the best way to get support. So we can be a great first stop when you're struggling. There is a lot of academic support at SC4. We're going to talk about that. First of all, the Achievement Center. I think everybody knows where that is. I don't know that everyone's been there yet, but it's in the College Center building, kind of right next to the library and that side of the building anyway. And here are the hours for that. So I'm not going to run through them all. There's a really neat site you can go to. You can also access this information through your Wave, but if you go to esearch.sc4.edu, if you just paste that into the address bar, I'm going to show you the site. I think I have that up here. Maybe I don't. Hold on. So I'm going to go to esearch.sc4.edu. And what you'll see, this is basically the library site where there's all different things you can do related to the library. Here's a link to Office 365 and so on. So a very valuable site. But what I want to focus on is over here. It's called the tutor schedule. Okay. When I click on the tutor schedule, it will, number one, give you the hours of, and a link to the Achievement Center anyway, but it gives you the hours of the various sites. Their locations are off to the right. And then also there's a schedule for who is the tutors and what they tutor in as you highlight or put your mouse over the particular times. The other thing you can do is filter under category and say, I need help in political science. So if I click on PS, it will filter it for folks who can help in political science. So now I know that all these people, I guess we're on the 19th, so today as I record this, let me see, I got to click off of this. I think that'll, whoops. Did it do it? I don't know. Anyway, you click over their name and it will explain, which courses they can tutor in. And you'll get to know tutors that you like, and you'll get some, well, maybe I don't like this person, but I'm going to try this at someone else. So that's esearch.sc4.edu. Great site. Okay, and there's some screenshots of that. I'm going to go back into the presentation. Okay. The Math Center, again, I'm just going to put this up there, but they have really good hours, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Okay. If you're here in the evening, or that's the only time you can come is after practice, the library has tutors there. Not as many, but they have tutors available in SC4's library, so keep that in mind. The SC4 Writing Center, the hours are a little tighter. They are open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's the third floor of the main building, room 313. But students who use the Writing Center, whether it's for an English class or anthropology or any class, report that it's very helpful. So keep that in mind, but you've got to give them a little time to look at your paper. You can either drop in or you can email your paper ahead of time to wc@sc4.edu. Do it as an attachment, or you could embed it in the email, I suppose. But let them know a little bit about the assignment, because a paper that doesn't sound too good when it's read, thinking that it's for this assignment might be really good if they know what you're trying to do. So include the assignment. And finally, to wrap up the session, almost wrap up, I mentioned some comments from students who graduated, and they were asked if I could change something about my experience at this school, meaning the middle college. They said, one student said, I'd ask for help more often, I'd visit an advisor earlier, I'd put more time aside for homework. Another student said they'd study more and use resources like tutoring or classmates. And finally, this student said, I would have tried harder in the beginning because I had the high school mindset when I went into the program and had a reality check when the classes started getting hard. So you're at that point now where you're just starting to make the transition, but work you put in now, I think you'll be glad you did 3 years from now when you're through with the Blue Water Middle College. Okay, and the final slides just to wrap up. We didn't have time to talk about this at the session, but just, for consideration, remember that iPad is a very powerful tool. If you haven't put your schedule in yet to the iStudies Pro app, I strongly recommend that you do that and enter your assignments, get the reminders, and you can actually put grades in there. I don't know if you're using it for note-taking often, and we'll talk about this at the next session. It's great for rewriting and organizing notes. It seems like more students take notes by hand, But in terms of rewriting them so it's clear to study from, the iPad can be great, and I'm hoping you're getting your email from me either on your iPad or your phone. And some of you may be using your iPad for web study assignments and things like that. Okay? So I'm just going to skip through this. So that is it. Thank you for viewing and listening to this. We will see you in person hopefully on October 7th. And don't forget, there is an assignment posted below this video that you'll see on the web page that you'll get a link to. So make sure you get all that done and back to Ms. Weimer when she says that you need to do so. Thank you.